Hey everyone, Dave here, and today we're cooking the world's best potato soup. Well, at least according to Google. On this channel, we like to Google the world's best recipes, try them out, see if they're actually as good as Google thinks they are, and have some fun in the process. So let me look up on Google really quick what the world's best potato soup recipe is. Okay, so it looks like this recipe from allrecipes.com. This is 4.6 out of 5 stars. There's better rated ones next to it. I know some folks have said that the top results are sponsored and paid for, but generally speaking with recipes, that's not the case. And usually if something is sponsored, Google will put right on there, sponsored or ad or something along those lines. And with recipes, I generally do not find that verbiage. So I do not think these are the sponsored ones. I think these just have the best SEO. Now, I've looked through this recipe and it's kind of minimalistic, okay? I've done a lot of potato soup recipes in my day, and a lot of them have tons of ingredients, tons of steps. This thing has 2 steps. So there's gonna be a little guesswork that we do in this recipe since there's only 2 fairly vague steps, but I think we'll be fine anyways and we can figure it out and get this potato soup cooked. Hopefully it's amazing. So let's go through the ingredients list really quick. First of all, we've got bacon. Everyone loves bacon. We gotta cook this, so we'll do that really shortly. We've got chicken cubes, like bouillon, chicken bouillon, is that how you pronounce that, bouillon? We've got mushroom soup, cream of mushroom soup. Actually, I think it's condensed cream of mushroom soup. That is a 10-ounce can, which is what the recipe calls for. We need 8 potatoes, unpeeled. I went with, what did I get, russet potatoes. You could probably use a bunch of other potatoes as well. This is just the first one that popped up, so I went with russet. Half and half, I think you only need a pint. This is probably too much. This is a quart, but that's okay, we can measure it out. 1 onion, and a very kind of disgusting ingredient, celery. I'm not a fan of celery. I would normally never put this into a recipe I cook unless I was being punished or something. But yeah, we're gonna put it in there. So I remember one time I was doing like a juicing diet where you juice vegetables and all that. And one of the juices I made had celery and ginger and I don't remember, lemon, I don't know. All I know is the results were on the floor after I drank it. So I'm not a big fan of celery. We're gonna try it anyways and see how it tastes. It's not a lot of ingredients, but it's gonna supposedly make an amazing potato soup. Hopefully the best in the world. Let's get to it. Now the steps, like I said, are very vague. Let me read you step 1. In a large stock pot, combine potatoes, onions, celery, bouillon cubes, and enough water to cover all the ingredients. Bring to a boil and simmer on medium heat till the potatoes are 15 minutes being finished. So basically, it has like no instruction on the actual preparation, but next to the ingredients, there is notes. So for example, for the potatoes, it says 8 unpeeled potatoes cubed. So what we will do first is we'll take 8 potatoes, we're gonna wash them, and then we're gonna cube them. Actually, I'll show you how I generally do it, and you can tell me I'm crazy if you want. So what I generally do is I take a pot and I put some water in it. So this is full of water. And as I cube my potatoes, I just put them straight into that pot of water. And I use that pot of water to wash them once I'm done. So as far as cubing, again, a lot of times a recipe will tell you what size cubes, things like that. This does not. So I'm not really sure what they're looking for here. So I'm just gonna make kind of, I don't know, is that a cube? That's not really a cube. That's like, I don't know. I could Google how do you cube a potato. Maybe I should do that. Let me make, here's one. We'll do the first one like this because I think this probably would be fine. Those are kind of cubish. But I'll look up how to actually cube one, hold on. Okay, so I watched enough of that video to realize that, you know, cubes might be smaller. That's kind of the only difference from what I did is a lot of people might consider a cubed potato a smaller piece. I think it's fine though. The general idea is small pieces of potato so they cook at a fairly decent pace. This one has a little bit of like a rot, so I'm not gonna use that little piece. All right, so now we're just gonna, I don't know, time lapse this, fast forward it, and once I get to 8 potatoes, I'll be right back. Also, normally when I make a potato like this, or a potato soup like this, I would peel the potatoes. I usually don't leave the skin on, but this recipe does call for leaving the skin on, so that's what I'm gonna do, even though I normally wouldn't. But maybe it'll be better. Maybe that's why they have you do it, because it's just better. These are actually kind of small potatoes. I hope that it's okay. You know, that's always another one of those things, right? It just says 8 potatoes. It doesn't say what kind of potato, what size potato. Someone could really mess this recipe up. That someone could be me, actually. But you could really easily mess this up just by getting the wrong potato. What if you went and got a fingerling potato? I guess you'd have a little tiny sample of soup after your fingerling potato 8 pieces. They have a bunch of potato soups that basically have they're kind of like, so baked potato soup, right? So if you look up baked potato soup, I bet you get a different recipe. And that's usually what I probably cook. And it's got like a bunch of cheese and sour cream. And it's more themed like if you were to buy a baked potato at a restaurant and they were to load it up, like fully loaded. I'm not a professional cook, guys. I like cooking, but I'm not a professional. But I will say this, it is hard for me to eat at a restaurant because almost anything you get at the majority of restaurants, I feel like you can cook yourself if you just go online, search the recipe, and just cook it like we're doing right now. Like it's easy, it's cheaper, and a lot of times it tastes better when you cook it at home than it tastes at a restaurant. So I recommend if you're like scared to try cooking, you should give it a shot. You might be surprised at how much you like it. Okay, so these are clean. Cut. I'm gonna go just rinse them a little bit. Sleeves up for that. And then I'll be back. Okay, so we're gonna dice our stalks of celery. It's only 2 stalks, so I got way too much. I do remember when I was in kindergarten, my mom used to give me a stalk of celery and put peanut butter on it and then put raisins on that. And she called it ants on a log. Is that a common thing or was that just my mom that did that? Ants on a log. Let me know in the comments, guys. All right, so this is all the celery we're gonna get, and it just says chopped, so I'm assuming it's just gonna be like these little slices here. I'll tell you what I normally would do with a recipe like this is I would look at the comments, especially on allrecipe.com, which I do like that website, but there's a lot of good feedback in the comments. And in the comments for this recipe, a lot of people say they recommend pre-sauteing the celery, like cooking it in like a frying pan before you put it into the potato soup, and actually the next step, but we're just following the recipe to a T, so we're not gonna do that, but I'm just telling you, that is what a lot of people are recommending. So if you're making it at home, it probably would make it a little better to pre-saute these veggies, the onion and the celery. Well, look at the comments. I'll put a link down below to this recipe. So here's our chopped celery, and now we gotta chop our onion. I'm not really sure what the difference is between chopped and diced. I mean, chopped sounds like it would be a little bit less severely small, and diced feels kind of tiny, but I'm not sure. All right, so we got 1 onion. I'm just pulling off this. There we go. That looks pretty good. Cut it in half. Let's give it a little slice-a-roo. This knife is a little better than the last one I used. Not much though. I really should get some sharper knives. I actually think I have a bunch of sharp knives in my storage. I have an area where I'm storing a bunch of stuff, and I have some sharp knives in there. This is not the safest way to cut. You're supposed to use your knuckles as a protector for your fingers, like I'm doing, but you know, better and less horrible. All right, there's halfway there. I mean, is it looking like the world's best potato soup yet? Like I said, I've had some really good potato soups in my day. I like them kind of thick, right? Not too runny, not too watery. Hey, no tears, so that's good. So our onion is now chopped. So I'm basically just looking at the ingredients list and doing what it says. So 1 onion chopped, 2 stalks of celery chopped or diced. Uh-oh, my eyes are starting to water. But anyways, so all we need now for this step, this portion of the recipe, is the bouillon cubes. We need 6 of them. So I'm just gonna pull 6 of these cubes out. These are like at any grocery store. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They always remind me of ramen. My eyes are watering so bad, guys. They always remind me of, I'm crying. I'm not crying, you're crying. They always remind me of ramen. So, because that's what they smell like. They smell like chicken flavored ramen. All right, I'm gonna unpeel these, try to get my eyes to stop watering, and then I'll be right back. All right, so I brought a pot back, and I'm going to actually put the onions and the celery in the pot. That way I don't have to cry because of the onions anymore. So let me do that. So let me just really quickly get those in there. Get them out of my way, okay? And we are also gonna put the 6 bouillon cubes. Am I saying that right? Bouillon? I think I am. In there, and the potatoes. And the potatoes are over there. I've got them in a strainer because I washed them off, and let me dump them in too. I'll let you watch, it's very exciting. All right, so now we've got potatoes, celery, and onions all in there. And now we're just gonna, like I said, oops. Well, I just broke that. So anyways, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have to laugh, guys. This is just so typical. 5 and number 6. So typical of me cooking. Something breaks, something. Here, look, I'll show you. Let me shoot it with my cell phone. I'll show you what I've caused here. There's the bouillon. There's the glass and the broken chicken stuff. I don't know, whatever. All right, so we got all that. The next step says add enough water to cover all these ingredients in this pot and then bring to a boil and simmer on medium heat. So I'm gonna do that really quick, throw water on here, throw it on the oven, and then I'm gonna clean up this mess. Okay, so I cleaned up the mess. I did a little bit of a camera swap and moved stuff around. We've got our bowl with our potatoes and our onions here. I'm gonna turn the heat on high to get a boil going, as the recipe indicates. I've also got another skillet over here that I'm going to cook the bacon on because it says we need a 16-ounce pack of bacon cooked and chopped up. And so you can cook it once it's already chopped up. Maybe I'll do that. I could, I don't know. What would you do? Would you chop it up then cook it? Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll chop it really quick and then I'll cook it. All right, so we'll do this way. I think it might cook a little faster if we do it this way. I'm gonna chop it up a little before we even put it in the skillet. And then it'll hopefully cook a little quicker because I probably should have done this step a little earlier, honestly. And I can chop it even further once we're all done here, once it's done cooking. This cutting board is far too small for this job. This is a real mess. Glad I wiped everything clean before I started so that I could make a huge mess. All right, let's put the bacon in the skillet. It's chopped enough, and then we'll chop it more at the end. Okay, so now this is cooking. Now I'll say this, I normally would cook my bacon outside on my griddle. It's not a Blackstone griddle, but same idea. But because it's like 95 degrees and 100% humidity out there, I've decided I'm just gonna do it in here. All right, so the bacon's starting to sizzle. It's really not well chopped, but we'll chop it up more at the end here. It'll be fine. And we're waiting for that water to boil. I don't know if I was supposed to put salt in it or anything. I guess not, because the chicken bouillon basically is pure salt. So I think we should be good. Let me check the recipe and see what our next steps are. Now, you remember earlier I said we need a pint of half and half. I have a quart, which is too much. A pint would be 2 cups worth. So I'm going to measure out 2 cups of half and half, which will be needed in a future step, so might as well get it ready while we wait for this stuff to cook and splatter it everywhere. There we go, 2 cups of half and half. And then we've got the cream of mushroom soup, the can of that. I'm gonna open that to get that ready as well. So here's the cream of mushroom soup. We went Campbell's. I don't like mushrooms, but hopefully this doesn't make it taste like mushrooms. I don't think it will. I don't know. And we're also gonna need 2 cups of shredded cheddar cheese. I didn't shred it myself this time. I bought pre-shredded, so hopefully it's still good. There you go, 2 cups measured out of the sharp shredded cheese. So we'll come back to those ingredients after we get this bacon cooked and this potato soup boiling. One of you guys did bring up the idea of doing some recipes on the Blackstone griddle, and I think that's a good idea. We will do that. I don't know when, hopefully soon. Didn't have one. Smells a lot like bacon. That's a good smell. The reasons I wanted to pre-chop the bacon is because I didn't think I could fit the whole entire package in this pan if I didn't. And I'm used to cooking out on my griddle, and I can cook a whole pack at once. And so my thought was if I chop this all up, then I can cook the whole entire bag all together really fast. And I don't know, seems like it's kind of working. It's looking pretty good. It's looking like bacon. Can't beat that. I've got this on almost the highest setting, which is kind of risky when cooking bacon, but I'm closely watching it, so it should be okay. Now, with the soup, it says once it gets to a boil, I'm supposed to bring the temp down to a medium and then simmer it until the potatoes are about 15 minutes away from being done. I don't really know what that means. I mean, I guess kind of. Okay, so when a potato's done, it's like really soft when you like put a fork into it. So I'm guessing it means when it has like a little bit of resistance to the fork, but it's definitely softer than it was when it was like brand new. Brand new vegetables, is that a thing? So that's kind of how I'm taking it. And we're cooking it again. My battery died right when the bacon was almost completely done. Figures. I mean, this bacon is looking done to me. There is some bigger pieces that are still looking a little bit soft, but I think it's probably good enough. What do you guys think? Does the bacon look good to you? Yeah, I think that looks pretty done. It looks delicious. Looks quite delicioso. Muy, muy. I'm Dora. All right, so I'm taking this off and I'm gonna let it cool over here. And yeah, we'll drain it and then we'll put it in when the time is right. It's not quite that time yet. And it looks like right when the bacon finished, the water started to boil with the potatoes. So I'm gonna just stir it once. Probably don't need to, but I'm gonna do it anyway just because my fire alarm's gonna go off.
Heads up, there's smoke in this room.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's loud.
Uh-oh. Let me open the window. It's always an adventure when I'm cooking, guys. All right, anyway, so I wanted to look at this really quick. I mean, it looks good. Potatoes still have a long way to go. It says bring the temp on this water down to medium and wait until it's 15 minutes away from being done. The potatoes are 15 minutes away from being done. So I'm gonna just bring the temp down a little bit. And then we'll be back in probably, honestly, my guess is like 20 minutes because potatoes take like 35 minutes. Okay, so this says that larger cubed potatoes will take 20 to 25 minutes to boil. Okay, so we've already it started boiling. We've put it down at medium. I'm gonna say we're gonna give it 15 minutes and then we're gonna check it. Okay guys, so it's been like 15 minutes and I would say we're pretty much there. This is, looking pretty good, smelling really good. The potatoes are, I would say, closer than 15 minutes away from being done. They're pretty soft, they break pretty easy. But probably like 7-8 minutes from being done. So we're gonna move on to the next step before it's too late. And the next step is pretty simple. Just add all the rest of the ingredients. The cream of mushroom soup, which we'll add first. Ugh. That doesn't look that great, but whatever. Hopefully it's delicious. Then we're gonna add the half and half. And then we're gonna add the cheese, and we wanna stir it till the cheese melts. So there we go, now we got all those in there. Stir it up. Now, I think at that point, if you wanted to, you could have removed some of the water before adding these other ingredients. Maybe I should have, and it would have made it less watery. It's pretty watery right now. I'm hoping it thickens up, but we'll see. I might have put too much water in the first place. I'm not sure. I just realized I forgot to add the bacon. So we forgot to put the bacon in there. That's like a key ingredient. So let's add that. How does one forget the bacon? Seems insane. I was reading through the reviews again, and people said that they actually sauteed the celery and the onions in the bacon grease. That sounds pretty good. I kind of wish I had done that. So hopefully this thickens up. Let's give it like 15 minutes and we'll come back and see how it's looking. All right, so this soup is looking pretty soupy. I don't think it says anything about squishing the potatoes, but actually it feels like some of them are kind of stuck to the bottom. So it's a little bit liquidy, more liquidy than I normally would. Ow, burned my finger. Like my potato soup, but we're gonna call it done because the potatoes are really soft at this point. They're just like melt in your mouth soft. I mean, so there you go, you can see them. Let's see, let's try to squish them and make sure they're nice and soft. Yeah, look, see? Just goes right through them like butter. Like butter. So this is done. I'm assuming if I let it cool a little bit, it might thicken up a tiny bit, but we're gonna pull it off. All right, now we're just gonna put some into a bowl so we can actually test it out. Oh, oops. Spilled it on the counter there. I'll put it over the bowl. Ah! All right, that's our potato soup. Look at that, that's kind of cool how that does that. This is really liquidy. I think maybe I put too much water in there, potentially. I don't know, what do you guys think? Is that too liquidy for a potato soup? It's pretty liquidy. I'm gonna let it cool. Hey guys, so I'm gonna be honest. This is pretty disappointing looking potato soup, but it looks aren't everything. This is so liquidy, and I don't know if it's because I put too much water or what went wrong, or maybe it's supposed to be like this. You'll have to let me know. I mean, that seems pretty thin to me. When I Google it, it says if I were to add a little cornstarch, that it could thicken up. You could also add potato flakes to thicken it up. So there are ways to bring it back from being this watery. But I think I should have removed some water before I added all the cream and the cream of mushroom soup and all that stuff. But I'm gonna try it anyways, and we'll see how it tastes, and hopefully it's good. Here we go. I'm gonna bring it a little closer to me. It was hot, I can tell it's hot. I'm gonna add a little flour. Is that crazy? Because this website also says you can add a little flour to thicken it up. So if you're allergic to gluten, maybe don't do this. But I'm gonna do it because it's just way too thin, in my opinion. It just doesn't taste right. Actually, it does taste, so that the taste is really good. It's just unsettling how incredibly thin it is. All right, so this did thicken it up a little, for sure. Adding the flour definitely thickened it up. Let's try it, see if it tastes any better. It's actually better. It's better with the flour. The consistency's better. Literally everything about it is better now. And the flavor's still really good. I might put a little pepper on it, something like that, but it's a good potato soup. I have to give the recipe itself like a 2 out of 10. This recipe was basically useless. It only had 2 incredibly vague steps that were very unclear, and a lot of it we just had to make up as we went because it was such an unclear recipe. But in the end, we got a potato soup that tastes really good, and I'm sure people would love to have it, and it would be fine for the next potluck or anything like that if you did want to make this. My only recommendation is it says to fill the water to the top of the potatoes. I think I went about 1 inch over the top of the potatoes, and that's where I went wrong. So make sure if you do put a little too much water in, you take the time to dump some out and then cook it. Or if you realize you have too much water after you're done boiling them and about to add the cream, then remove some water at that point. But yeah, overall, the potato soup itself is like solid. It's like a 7 out of 10, 6.5, 7 out of 10. It's not bad. I've made way better. Part of it might be on me, but also I just think it's kind of lacking, I don't know, something special, some flair. It's a little bit run of the mill. And the recipe itself is trash. You'll basically need to know how to cook, or if you watch this video, you can cook it. But without that, I mean, you're just gonna do a lot of guesswork, be doing a lot of guesswork. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications, and we'll see you for the next one. Bye-bye.